Coming up in this week's episode, we're going to be talking about Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts and whether or not it should be in our Diz Universal Hall of Fame. From the Bob Varley Studio in Orlando, Florida, this is the Universal edition of the Diz Unplugged. This is episode 120 of the Diz Unplugged Universal Edition. The Diz Unplugged Universal Edition is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel, experts at helping you plan the perfect universal vacation. Visit them on the web at www.dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of the Diz Unplugged Universal Edition. I am your host, as always, Craig Williams, and I am joined alongside by my always co-host, Mr. Ryno Clavin.
Well,
Ryno,
hello.
Hey, hello. How are we doing? Why don't we just...
Wingardium Leviosa.
Yeah, that's a cool thing. Why don't we just pull that mic in a little bit closer so the lovely audience out there...
earlier, too.
This did the first time we tried to record.
Wait, say hello to me again.
Hey, hello,
Wait, but say aloha.
Aloha, Mr. Ryno Clavin.
Aloha Mora.
Okay, fantastic. I'm glad we're off to a good start with this. I hope everyone is looking forward to having a very fun episode this week. Got a lot of stuff to talk about in regards to Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts, the premier attraction of the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, Diagon Alley, and whether or not it should be in our Universal Hall of Fame, our Diz Universal Hall of Fame, that is. So, there's been a lot of attractions that have come out over the past couple of years since then, including Skull Island, Reign of Kong, obviously. Race Through New York, starring Jimmy Fallon, is nearing its opening date. We got to finally go on the refurbished and updated version of the Incredible Hulk coaster. So enough time has passed between Gringotts and all of this stuff to get us to here. I think we can look at it with a fresh eye and see if it deserves to be in the Universal Hall of Fame. So we will do that in just a little while. But before we even go there, I got to talk about a couple news items that I just want to cover on. So, Ryno, you see this? You hear about this?
I did.
You did?
Yes.
Well, you don't know which one I'm talking about.
I don't.
Oh, so how about we go with the one that you definitely know about first?
Okay.
Yeah.
The parking. The
parking.
The hotel.
The hotel.
The hotel.
Yes. So Universal is supposedly planning 4,000 hotel rooms to be on the property that used to be occupied by Wet n Wild, which is now closed. So this information comes courtesy of the Orlando Sentinel, and they found that Universal has filed a master plan with the city of Orlando that shows that the area that Wet n Wild is on will be used for hotel rooms. Doesn't say how many hotels. Didn't say if it was one hotel or two hotels. The reason I bring this up, on the concept art that I saw, if you don't know the area well, Universal Boulevard actually it kind of intersects in between the side that Wet n Wild is on and then the side that Wet n Wild has its parking for. So there's technically two patches of land on both sides of that road. So with that being said, I don't know if it's going to be one hotel with one singular theme that connects across the two sides of the road, or if it's going to be like Cabana Bay is, and in regards to also Sapphire Falls, where you have Cabana Bay on one side of the road and the other side is Sapphire Falls, and they're easy to get back and forth to each other. I still don't know these details yet. My guess is, why not go for the two themes? I would do that if I was in charge of it. I'm not, though. But we do know there will be about 4,000 rooms to add to the amount of rooms they already have, plus Aventura coming along the way, and hopefully they will hit their goal of 10,000 rooms that they are looking for. So in other news with this, not only are we going to have the hotels on these plans that the Orlando Sentinel found, apparently there were 3 parking garages that were marked in this area, so there will be plenty of adequate parking. There was lots of places that you will be able to cross over Universal Boulevard. So I'll be assuming that they are going to have pedestrian bridges that will cross the gaps over instead of having to just run across the street. But then the big rumors that go along with it, I think we've even talked about it before, is what type of hotel will it be? I know a lot of the general consensus out there, and it's what I believe too. I haven't heard from any cast members or any inside sources on this one, but I genuinely believe that it will be a value resort, not only because it is not a bad distance away from Universal, but it's a decent hike to get there.
Not close enough for it to be a deluxe. Deluxe is that's the thing. You got to be able to walk to your resort from those. I feel like it's part of the selling point.
Yeah, no, it definitely that is the case in point. It's not nearly close enough. It's not. I actually don't know now that I'm thinking about it, because technically, Wet and Wild, if you're leaving Universal and you cross over I-4, then Wet and Wild is it's right there. It's not that far, so I would say it's just slightly farther away than Cabana Bay is. But Cabana Bay's all up in the property, and it's safer to walk on Universal property than having to cross over I-4 and all that. Regardless, it's far enough away that it has to be a value. But with that too being said, Universal's not going to want people to just, because International Drive is going to be the closest thing, they're not going to want people to just go and walk up and down International Drive. And I don't know if they have enough confidence that people will just flock to City Walk. So I do believe that they will try to attach enough dining, shopping, some fun experiences on that side, almost like a miniature City Walk in a way. So that way, to keep people at their location instead of just, making their way into the International Drive area. So, any thoughts on that, Ryno?
I'm just curious if Universal is going to pursue a mode, some sort of... Wasn't there a rumor for a while that they were going to do not necessarily a monorail, but some sort of transportation thing to alleviate traffic there or something?
Yeah, there was, and I think that's still in the cards, especially because then you have to keep in mind this is just for hotels on this patch of land where Wet and Wild is. Then you have to factor in the other patch of land that they own, the ones that they bought last year, which it could be developed for more hotels. It could be developed for the third park. We don't know yet what exactly it's going to be developed for and when it is, but they have to keep in mind that then once you're gapping that further, I mean, Universal as it exists, once they develop that land, it is going to be a giant mass of property that is not actually all connected to each other. So they will need some sort of way to keep it all connected together. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is happening. We'll find out when it gets built, what it is. That is not it. Actually, this one comes courtesy of today, but in the movie Magic Game, as we already told you, this was being pre-recorded. This is a new rumor. Not necessarily rumor, I won't say that, but the Orlando Business Journal pulled together 2 new Universal patents that they believe may hint at a possible new Harry Potter ride.
I'll die. I'll die from excitement.
Yeah. So, really, what these patents kind of are, there's 2 different ones that they found. The first is called the Vehicle Transportation Room System and Method, and the other patent is for the System and Method for a Moving Puzzle Theater. And Orlando Business Journal is assuming that these are going to be used for an attraction that will be in the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, potentially for the Flu Network. And this stems why they're believing this is because just in the past day or two, they have also picked up heavily on the Dragon Challenge closing rumors.
So they think they'll put a Harry Potter attraction there? That's where it'll go?
Yes.
And then you think this will be another park-to-park transportation thing?
No, I think this would just be...
Just an attraction.
Yeah, it would just be an attraction that would... An attraction or 2, because it is a very big patch of land, if Dragon Challenge gets cut. So I can't speak too much on that, just because I have heard things here and there from sources. All I know is from the time I was even there, Dragon Challenge came up to the point where they had to do some intensive repairs to one actual portion of the ride, and they needed to make a decision on it because it would be very costly, and they did not go forward with it. And saying that not like it needed repaired or it was people would die.
But you have to invest in the future.
Exactly.
It's like when the backlot tour was going down, you knew it was going down. Well, the rumor was they were investing in new shuttles, and that's why we were going to stay open longer. And they ended up pulling the money back from that, and that's when we knew the closing announcement was coming soon.
Exactly, and this was the case. There was a certain element of the attraction that it's getting to the point that if it was going to remain open for a long period of time, they would actually have to invest in fixing it. And from what I was told, that never went through. So that's one sign that it could. At one point in time, before the new Harry Potter attractions being added in this area and all that stuff, there was a lot of more rumors circulating that they were going to find a way to actually build some sort of either mega coaster or a mega virtual reality coaster together in that small area, and that they figured out a way to do it. But I never really got a lot out of that rumor. I thought that one was always a little bit far-fetched. Even though Universal goes for the thrills, Dragon Challenge is still very highly regarded.
And I doubt they're going to chop a piece of one of their most profitable things they've ever invested in out. So they're not going to just cut out a piece of Harry Potter and not replace it with Harry Potter.
Exactly. And that's kind of the way Orlando Business Journal felt too. Other people in our fun Universal community felt as well. And so that they all believe that it is going to be something Potter related. I do too. And I can't remember if it was Business Journals bringing it up or if it was another website. It might have been Orlando Informer, but someone where I read somewhere said, Universal is looking towards trying to start keeping the thrills, but doing them with a more eye towards family friendliness in a way. And the attraction we're going to talk about today, I think that is one example of it that does make perfect sense with Escape from Gringotts. Not that bad of a height restriction. Some scary elements. Definitely the roller coaster-ish portions of it have the thrills as well as the simulated parts. So it does combine that. But it's pretty easily accessible for a lot of heights, just not these young kids. Universal will never be a boat ride. It will never be just a gentle boat ride type park like Disney has with Pirates of the Caribbean and It's a Small World. It's never going to do that. But I see that side, and I think Universal sees it too, finding that way to create new attractions that blend the thrills, but also do well with the shorter height requirements as well too, to make them as family oriented without losing the thrill aspects of their park. So and this seems like one way they could do it with this patent with the moving theater. I think a lot of us have speculated before in the past. One of the biggest rumors, and that was going back to when I was at Universal before Diagon Alley even was announced or opened. One of the things we were always talking about was, well, they're going to do Ministry of Magic. Even if they do Diagon Alley, they're going to do Ministry of Magic. And, well, because Ministry of Magic does have a lot of elements to it, they could do a little bit with it. But, obviously you need a fun way to kind of get you to the Ministry, and that's where traveling by the Flu Network would work in. But you already had the Flu Network in Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey that's done a different way. So that's how you...
Flu Network's in the Forbidden Journey?
Yeah.
Where? When? Oh, that's
how,
right. That's Hermione blowing the spell. Okay.
Exactly.
I was getting confused. I was thinking about Escape to Gringotts for some reason.
No. Hermione tosses the powder on you, the flu powder on you, and
good point.
that's how you end up where you do. And before, it was the fun. You move through the network. That's why it was
it
all
fun?
the bricks that changed. And then they changed it with one of the updates to making it look like you were traveling through a Doctor Who.
Yeah.
game.
Woo. Well, also it made me less sick when they made the update. So
See, I miss the original on that, but
I do
that
like
was
the
fine.
theme of the bricks going through. I understand that, but it was difficult for me to look at. It didn't set me off right immediately, but it made sense. So whatever.
Yeah. So I'm not going to go into depth on the patents because, well, with it, anything could change. It might just be a situation where they see this potential for this ride technology system, but nothing ever comes of it. We talked about the last set of patents that came out that had like the Iron Man looking style attraction, the Mario
Then there
Kart
was the
style, the
wand.
Donkey Kong.
There was a Harry Potter one too, right? Where the wand could be used.
Yeah, there was also that one too. So, I'm not going to invest too much time here rambling on about everything with it, but we'll have links to where you can learn more about that in the show notes page. So, I would love to see more Potter. I'm a Potterhead.
Oh, always.
Yeah, and because
Always.
always. And because of that, that's why we need to continue our Potterheadness and start talking about whether or not Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts should be in the Disney Universal Hall of Fame.
Yay!
Yeah.
Hall of Fame, Hall of Fame, Hall of Fame.
Yes. So
We need an intro music for it.
We do. The last attraction that we put up for the Hall of Fame was, I believe, Shrek 4D. And I didn't look at the final numbers on that, but I'm just going to go ahead and assume it did not make it in there.
Yeah. I would assume so. I'm just going to, with you.
Yeah,
And if we assume, what happens.
Yeah,
We're right.
We're right. We're always right when we assume. So let's talk about Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts. What is Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts? Well, it is a roller coaster type attraction that takes you through the vaults of Gringotts, the only bank in the world that you cannot rob. That is correct, right?
Unless you are child wizards.
Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty much the security really went really in depth for everything except for children.
Yeah.
So,
But for us muggles,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just amazing for the first that we can even make it into the halls of Gringotts.
Oh, yeah.
Let alone go down into the vaults. Let alone actually be there while a robbery is happening. It's just all very lucky. It's all lucky that it came together. So, yeah, when I say roller coaster style attraction, what I really mean, of course, is that it is the blend of basically a roller coaster and a motion simulator. Mm-hmm. And with that, everything is on a roller coaster track. You are essentially in roller coaster cars that are very similar to The Mummy, if you are familiar with that attraction. And if you're not, then you're just gonna have to use your head and do make believe time right now. So we're talking 4 seats, 3 rows. 2 cars, and that's what happens with that. But while you're moving around, these cars are actually also stopping in portions. They can speed up, it can go. It's very fluid with that. But the actual vehicles mounted on top of the moving portion of it can then also move itself similar to an attraction like Spider-Man, or you can go as broad as you want and say any motion simulator and that sort. And yeah, then not only does it have all of this to it, but it is nearly 360 degrees immersive in that you can almost look around at any point of the ride, looking anywhere you can. All the parts that you can see should be themed in some way, and by that I mean it's
stalagmites and the bank vault, the vaults themselves, and
they'll make the rocks go as far down to the floor as they possibly can, so your mind just perceives that it keeps going.
I actually every time I go on this, I'm actually finding that I'm looking at all that stuff more than the screen now.
Yeah,
I'm like looking for the holes.
I am the exact same way too.
Yeah.
And it's not because the screens make me sick or anything.
No. Yeah.
And being that, mention that it is that mix of the two because it does have the simulator elements. Of course, we have screens. We have 4K, 3D, high definition screens that have all your favorite characters on them. So they didn't pop up in the ride as animatronics. They are on the screens.
Well, and I want to say that as far as like the motion sickness with the screens goes, this one doesn't bother me actually too much, except for there is one part where you spin around because the troll grabs the car and throws it and spins a little bit, and that's the only part where I find like, but you're braced for it because it's a couple, like a 1, 2, 3, and then you get thrown. But I find that the motion, maybe because you're actually in motion, that it actually does, the mind is actually tricked.
Yeah, and it's also because you do get those points where you actually stop.
Yeah.
And you're watching it happen, or in some portions you're moving very slow while this stuff is happening on the screen, so it doesn't trick you as much. In terms of 3D attractions that will make you sick, I think this is on the lower spectrum of that.
Oh, yeah.
As you have just said, too. But you have to keep in mind with that it is always a possibility if you do get motion sickness. So just kind of the housekeeping to go along with this attraction too. Everything's got to go in lockers. No loose articles are permitted because, you can't smuggle stuff into the bank.
Don't be a muggle.
Yep. And we mentioned earlier the height requirement, that it's actually a decent height requirement. It's only 42 inches, so that is 3.5 feet. And in my opinion, that's I'm not going to say what age a kid would need to be that size, but it's not like you have to wait till you're 10 to get on this one.
Yeah.
So
it's a decent height.
Yeah, it's a good height. I remember when I was 42 inches. I was proud of myself at 42 inches.
I don't remember. I think I remember when I broke like 60. That was the 5 foot. That was the big deal.
Yeah.
Okay, you're gonna be taller than Grandpa. My grandpa's like 5'3".
Oh,
but yeah. Anyway,
there you go.
Yeah.
There we go. So now we know a little bit more. And as great as the attraction is, we would be remiss to not mention the best parts of the attraction itself, and that is the queue.
Oh, yeah.
Universal.
Incredible.
Yeah, incredible. Universal is just trying to one-up themselves every time with queues. Last week you heard us rave about Race Through New York starring Jimmy Fallon's whole queue pre-show area, how that was all handled. Any other attraction we've talked about on this where we've spent a lot of time, Skull Island, Reign of Kong, when we talked about their queue, they just keep taking it up to the next level with every new attraction that comes out, and how your queue experience is, because you spend a lot of time out there. And I'm not going to say this is the perfect one. And if you went during the opening few months or so and you got stuck outside
in the back.
Yeah,
talk about where it winds, like the infinite winding.
Yeah, the infinite winding. There's one mine cart that just sits there, and it's like, oh well, that's a good prop. Yeah. But that's the only thing to look at.
Like, we need to make sure this line at least goes 7 miles. Yeah. 7 miles in the back here.
But
and it's true, when it opened, it had like 8-hour waits. It was, you come and open and you'd wait the entire day to go on the ride.
And I do want to point out, though, one of the nice things that they learned about the first Wizarding World of Harry Potter was that they were not fully prepared for how long these waits would be and how brutal the waits would be when you're just standing outside. It's one thing to stand outside in a 45-minute line where you have some shade, stuff like that, but Ollivanders was kind of the big wake-up call over in Hogsmeade, where it could be a 2-hour wait with no shade at all.
No umbrella, no nothing. Yeah, and lots of sunburns waiting for that one.
Sunburns, people passing out, just really dangerous. And so when the Wizarding World of Harry Potter Diagon Alley was designed, they made sure that as much as possible, all queues would be completely inside or provided with enough shade. Yeah. And so they did do this with Gringotts. So if you're walking up to the building, and if you start to go in, but then you go right back outside, don't be alarmed. You're not going out to wait in the sun. You will be in a shaded area that has one minecart that you can look at the entire time.
And if it is ever that busy, they usually have the drink cart back there that's open.
Exactly.
Get yourself a muggle beverage.
Yeah, no, it's really good. So Yeah, that's a nice perk that you have with this one. So, assuming that you don't have to go back out there, let's start talking about the full experience, starting when you enter Diagon Alley. And the first thing you see when you go through,
There's that massive dragon. What kind of dragon is that, Craig? Norwegian Ridgeback, or I think that's a dog.
No, Norwegian Ridgeback is one of the dragons. Of course, you have the Hungarian Horntail, the
Chinese
Fireball. You have the Swedish Short Snout.
He's the nasty one. He's like the one that Harry got in the fourth one, I think, because it's supposed to be like the bad.
Well, that's the Horntail.
So maybe I don't know if it has a horntail. I don't think it does, actually. Anyway, it's this massive life size, and when I'm in quotes, because obviously, whether or not the dragon's real remains to be seen. I believe it is. But it is the actual size of the dragon is on the roof of Gringotts, the building that looks exactly like the building from the movies. And it's breathtaking. He even breathes fire and everything.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people's complaints about the dragon are that that the dragon doesn't move; it just sits there, and every now and then spurts out fire. But I don't
great.
Need that.
Yeah,
I think that
I've never actually thought that. That's funny.
I don't mind that it's static. Because it catches your eye. It's a weenie. It catches your eye, and then once it breathes the fire, it's even better.
And it's just like I don't want it to be moving because like you really, really can see the attention to the minutia detail in the dragon. It's like the way they painted it. It looks like that. It when you're looking at it, you're like I can imagine what it feels like. Like I can feel the texture that's on the wing, and all this stuff. So. Do you have an answer?
It is actually Ukrainian iron belly. So
Ukrainian iron belly. Should have known better.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's what it is saying here. So I believe that.
He's got the chains and everything hanging off him. He's got his wounds.
Yeah.
If you're familiar with the film.
No, it definitely mixes with the timelines because technically, I'll spoiler ahead of time. It is the climax of the ride. Everyone escaping via the dragon. So the dragon's already up on top. So it's a little bit jumping ahead with the dragon already being up there. But that is the next critical part we need to talk about before we start really going into the queue and understanding the story. And that the Wizarding Worlds of Harry Potter are timeless. That is why you can be on Dragon Challenge and the Triwizard Games are happening, but then you also can go to over to Diagon Alley and obviously Escape from Gringotts is there. But during that time period, you can go back over to Hogwarts and you can see that Dumbledore, spoiler alert, is still alive. It just all blends together. There is no set time in the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. If anyone ever asks a team member in there, a witch, wizard, what have you in there, they will tell you that it is timeless. And that is the
wizards and muggles.
Yep, that's the number one answer. But in that, saying that, Escape from Gringotts is very unique in that it literally takes place during one singular point in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, the movie / Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows book. Mm-hmm. So there's not a lot of wiggle room in the timelessness here. Unlike where Dragon Challenge, while you do hear stuff in the queue from Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, and you see the Goblet of Fire, all that, it's not locked onto any certain distinct point from that actual movie, whereas this is undeniably, this is during this portion of the movie that you see, but you are kind of in an alternate timeline. So, that being said,
I think your computer is playing some advertisements.
Thank you, Harry Potter Wikia.
That was magic.
Thank you. That was magic. So, let's make our way inside of Harry Potter in the Escape from Gringotts. So, like I said, we're skipping out of going to the extended queue, and so the first thing we do, we walk in and we get that grand view of the inside of Gringotts.
Oh God, it's so nice! It's so nice. It's just like, was the movie set even this nice? I don't know that it was.
I don't think it was. No, that's every time the actors are interviewed about what it's it like to be back in back here in seeing Diagon Alley, and they say time and time again it is an exact replication of everything that we had on the sets, except it's real because you can move in, you can walk around, and going into the main hall of Gringotts and seeing the bank teller, seeing the details.
The chandeliers are breathtaking. I mean, they're massive, massive chandeliers, and they're just everything in there. Yeah, you're right. The bank tellers, the goblins, they're just you can go right up to them and they move and kind of look around, and you're like, whoa, it's almost eerie.
Yeah, no, the goblin animatronics are just absolutely wonderful. I mean, I will not chalk them up and say that these are the best animatronics you're going to see. They're not, but this is the rare chance that you get to be that close.
Yeah.
To an animatronic, see the details, see how they move, and they look perfect. They could be on a screen with no problems. And then I forget the name of the main goblin that sits in the middle.
My goodness, I can't remember. It'll come to me.
Yeah, I always just immediately go to Grip Hook because
Harry screams it in the ride. I think he yells it at him at one point because he's yells, "Get them out of here!"
Right? Well, no, he's yelling. He's yelling to Bill.
He's yelling to Bill.
But we'll get there.
Okay,
we'll get there. Why don't you look it up? But the main goblin that is in the hall when you first get in, this is the only one of the animatronics that actually moves and speaks. Well, they all move. Sorry, moves and speaks together and talks to you, and it's the best photo op. It will slow down the line, so when it feels like you're not moving, it's not because the ride is necessarily having issues with the attraction itself. It could just be because people are constantly stopping to taking their picture with this thing. Even to this day, if I still go through the ride with my cell phone in my pocket, I try to snap a shot.
You can't not to. You always need it. Yeah, it's one of those ones you're always going to take the photo.
Yeah. So yes, you're going to leave this first beautiful room. You're going to make your way past a couple of the bank vaults, and then you're going to go into the portion of when everything's running perfectly and it's staffed well. That's where you can get your Gringotts photo ID, and there will be a photo op if you so choose to participate in it. If you just say no, I don't want to do that, skip it. They will let you. They're not going to force it to you. But then you kind of make your way through the back offices of Gringotts, and I love moving through this section. There's newspapers hanging on the wall, and of course, if you are familiar at all with Harry Potter, you know that these all their newspapers and stuff are actually enchanted and magic and moving, just like all the portraits that you will see. Not only that, but there's these little moments that happen if you pass the doors where characters will be adding additional dialogue and elements to the story, and you'll see them cross paths. If you've ever been on the Hogwarts Express, think about it in that way, that as you'll see the characters come past your door and speak, and that this is kind of the same thing, but it's on a timed basis. It's not something that you have to see every single thing that passes you up. You have to see every goblin, this, that, or the other. You will still enjoy it moving past it. But yeah, so this is the portion there where you get split up into either one of two rooms-ish. It's all one giant room, but one of two corrals. And this is where you are going to make your way and meet Bill Weasley for the first time.
Played by none other, whose name I cannot remember, Domhnall Gleeson.
Yes, Donald Gleeson. So Donald Gleeson.
Donald.
Not Don Old, but Domhnall. You know who
Mad
he
Eye
is.
Moody's son in real life.
Yes, Brendan Gleeson's son in real life. If you've blinked, then you might have missed him in the past couple years, because not only has he been, he was in the Harry Potter. Well, he was in the Harry Potter films as Bill Weasley, so he's reprising his roles for that. You might have seen him in the award-winning film Ex Machina. You may have seen him in just anything. The Revenant, About Time, Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
I do like that about time.
I think
and
he
The
was
Force
in
Awakens,
Brooklyn
obviously.
too, right?
Was he?
Yeah.
Well, it makes sense.
He was the main guy in it, I believe.
What?
I still,
Now I gotta watch this.
I still haven't watched it.
I still
yet.
haven't watched it yet. Yeah.
It's because
Now
I
I gotta
can't.
know.
It's because I can't pronounce Saori's Ronan's name. Sorry, I can't do it.
Sorry's, I can't pronounce your name correctly.
Yes, I can't do that. So until I can pronounce her name correctly, I cannot watch her movie. I made the mistake once of going down that road with her. With what's the awful one that Peter Jackson directed?
Oh,
The Lovely Bones.
Yeah.
Won't do it again.
What a travesty that movie was.
But we're not here to talk about that. So
He is in Brooklyn.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's been in everything.
Yeah.
the
good
past
for him,
couple years.
for real. He's great too.
No, I love him as an actor. He was when Diagon Alley opened up. Besides wanting to go up and say something to Helena Bonham Carter, he's the only person that like I wanted to like go up and just shake his hand and say I love everything you're doing right now. But I was too afraid.
Does Bogrod sound familiar?
No,
Okay.
but it could be. It could be Bogrod. Let's move on with that anyway.
Okay, sorry.
So, we meet up with Bill Weasley, who is going to be kind enough to take us on a tour of Hogwarts, or Hogwarts, blah.
We've been there, done that.
Been there, done
Jeez.
that. He's taking us on a tour of Gringotts and taking us down into the vaults on the mine cars. And what I love about this first pre-show area, more than anything else, is that it's using that same technology that was used back when Disaster was around to project Christopher Walken in the room, where although you can tell, like, Bill Weasley is a flat character, Griphook is a flat character on this wall, it's being projected into this room. So although you can tell it is flat, your eyes do want to believe, and your mind wants to believe, that it is a three-dimensional object in this room and living as part of it. And it's such an impressive feat of technology that is so simple for Universal, because, it worked well with Christopher Walken, and it still works well to this day. Every time I walk into that room, I feel like they actually are in there. And
Yeah, it's cool. It's a good effect. It's a nice like kickoff to the ride.
yeah. But arguably, the next portion of the ride is even better. And do you know what that portion is, Ryno?
It is the elevator.
Yeah.
That's what it's referred to, right?
Yeah,
It's not a special word.
No, it's the elevator. You have to take the
Miles.
elevator. Yeah.
Miles under the ground.
Yes, to get to your minecart. So do you want to explain the elevator experience?
Well, it's like this massive elevator that you've got to go in, and they lower you down, and you've got to. I mean, do you want me to spoil the magic about it?
Yeah,
or,
I mean,
like-
this is we're
So
telling
it's
about it.
Essentially, what's really cool about it is, I guess it's really just a doorway into the next area you're going to go. So you go in, so it's not quite a real elevator. However, it's got is it the floor that moves or just the walls?
So they have the floors moving, and
'cause
the
it
floor
throws me all
shaking,
the
kind
time,
of
yeah.
bouncing up and down,
Like
and then
you can
they
feel it vibrating.
They also have video screens around the walls, so the gaps that are in there, in the wall and everything, it makes you feel like you are actually moving down.
I always like the sound effects because it's got that screechy metal sound, and it's dropping, and I don't know. It's a really cool transition of you, because you're still gonna go and wait in line in another part, but it's like a really cool transition piece.
Yeah,
It keeps it interesting.
This is almost just as good of a ride itself as the attraction is. If you're ever with someone who doesn't want to do the attraction because of motion sickness, afraid to do it, just physically can't do it, definitely bring them in the queue with you. Take them through the main hall of the bank, take them into the room with Bill Weasley so they can see it, and then let them get on the elevator and actually experience that, because it is such a cool, simple effect. It was something that was used way back in the day at the Living Seas to take you down to Sea Base Alpha over in Walt Disney World. The
I don't remember that.
same exact thing. You would see the bubbles start to go.
That's cool.
In a sense, it's the same effect they use in the submarines, like Nemo subs. With that, using effects to make you feel like you're going down.
Yeah.
And this is such a simple but awesome little thing. And as you're making your way down, you notice, like, you see the troll guards as you're making your way down. Sometimes it'll just be a wall. There's this one awe moment.
I noticed the troll
you have to look all the way around.
Yeah.
There's this one awe moment where you just see how large the actual area, the caves where the vaults are in, and the tracks moving around, and it is a great part of it.
Yeah.
But then you have the ride itself, so you pick up your...
Yeah, you get your 3D glasses, and
Yes.
I like where you get these because now you're going to go ascend, you're going to go back up because you're going to go up some stairs, but this is a room where now you're all the way down into the depths of Gringotts that they're all those stalagmites or stalactites?
Stalagmites?
I forget which one goes up, which one goes down. Gosh,
Pass.
education. Anyway, so all those things are coming out of the ceiling, and it's just kind of like now it's a little darker, and it feels like the emotional journey you take through the queue is really incredible.
Yeah.
To be honest, because you're in like the fancy area of Gringotts before you get into that room, all the offices, and then the next thing you know, you're down in the depths of you're in the mine.
Yeah.
So it's really cool transition.
Yep. So you board your minecart with your 3D goggles, and you start to make your way into the vaults. And this is where everything goes wrong instantly. Usually attractions, they give you a little peace and a little bit of calm before the storm. But this one, everything just goes wrong right away. Who appears?
The one and only Miss Bellatrix Lestrange.
Yes.
With her fellow. What am I? The word I keep wanting to call them the trolls, but they're not the trolls. They're the goblins. With her goblin, and she's upset that you're in the vaults. So she tries to throw the spell at you, which is the first this is awesome moment.
Yeah. So this is the first. Oh my gosh, this ride is amazing moment because she casts this spell on you, and you don't just go straight down a hill or anything.
No. Yeah.
You feel the entire track the back picks up, and you start to look pretty well down at an angle down, and you're just hanging there for a couple
I'd say
moments.
that's like a 70 degree. Like it's more than 45 because of 45, but you're like arched up.
Yeah,
I'm going to give you a tip here too. This is my favorite thing to do in this ride is ask to sit in the back row. A lot of people like to sit in the front, but when that thing raises you up to do this part, when you're in the back row, you're like, oh God, it's going to fling me out.
You genuinely, you don't have the best view of the video screens to see what's happening there.
Yeah.
But you do have a pretty great ride experience when you're sitting in the back like that. When you're in the front, you're pretty far down. You have to tilt your head up to still see what's happening on the screens. But then your car just drops through, and you start what is just a very small roller coaster portion of the track. I don't want you thinking this big intense thing. It's not.
No, and this is the most intense drop in the whole thing. You know what I mean? And it's not even a drop. It's just like it's like you're releasing the emergency brake on your car.
Yeah.
So it just lets you go. And so and it's in darkness, so it's a little like, oh, I'm excited, but then you level out.
You level out, and that's when you get your first glimpse inside these.
Yeah.
Inside this amazing place. And, from there, it is just a blending of scenes. So you meet up. Bill Weasley takes care of everything, and he starts introducing you into actually Hogwarts. And I'm sorry, I'm sure I'm going to get all these scenes mixed, but this is one portion of the ride where he has that. You run into Harry, Ron, and Hermione.
Oh, that's right. He's like, hey, you're down here, and then the alarm starts going off. And, and it's Hermione.
Yes, exactly.
It's because it's like it is the footage from the movie, but it's not the footage from the movie. So it's like it looks. I swear to God, it's their bodies, but it's not her voice for some weird reason.
Yeah, Ron's the only person who actually reprised his role for this portion of it.
Oh, so it's not Harry either?
No. Daniel Radcliffe don't have time for that.
Well, I mean, it's clearly not Hermione because it's a 40-year-old woman doing Hermione's voice.
It's not as bad on the attraction on Gringotts as it is on the Hogwarts Express.
Right,
that is far worse, but still not amazing. But yeah, so you get down there and you start to see the banks. Bill kind of sends you on your way. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned the troll section. The trolls are down there, and at one point they like Ryno said, they
grab you.
They
and
grab
they're
you
mad.
and move you and fling you, and then the next set of trolls comes along and pulls your track.
Yeah, this part's really cool because it really, every time I do it, it does actually feel like, because the troll, he pulls the track, like he falls and then the other one grabs the thing, and so he like pulls it when he falls, and it's essentially like he's pulling your cart down with him.
Yeah.
And so Bill's got to grab you with his Wingardium Leviosa.
Exactly. Bill grabs you in this portion of it, and
or not Wingardium Leviosa right there. He does the other one. He does 2 spells pretty much the whole time.
But then obviously things have to continue to be wrong. Well, Nagini.
Okay. Well, you get into that. You get into Bellatrix's vault at that point, right? We're in her vault, right? Because she comes in and she's like, "We've seen them. They were in my vault."
Yeah.
They were in my vault. I speak everything like this.
Yes.
That's how she talks.
That is how she talks. And Voldemort has joined her along for the ride on this one, too. And so, obviously, she's pissed. She's going to go. She's going to try to cast a spell on you. And, you get pushed out of that room. And now you're in the climax room. Voldemort and Bellatrix, they fly into the room. I couldn't apparate. They apparate.
Yes.
And into the room.
Smoke. Yeah.
Yes, and this is where everything should go bad. But lo and behold, once again, Ron, Harry, and Hermione come along to save the day.
This is also one of my favorite things is when Voldemort goes to make and he spits the fire out with the 3 faces, like in the film.
Exactly.
When they're in the vanishing room, is that what it is? The room, no, the room of requirement.
Yeah,
and he does, yeah. So it's cool.
No, it is. It's a very cool effect, and during this, it's just they're going back and forth, and ultimately, of course, Harry, Ron, and Hermione have to win. And they help you. Well, sorry, they help you by then, as I already said, they attach a chain to your minecart because they need to finally fly out too. And it's a great smoke effect where all this is happening. Hermione casts a spell, opens up a hole so that
whips
way
the chain onto the cart, and then it yanks you out. Yeah,
exactly. So the dragon takes off. So you shoot out, go up a little thing, and then Bill says, well, anything can happen in Gringotts. And
Bill.
Then that's a ride. And I know that we literally just kind of butchered how you go through the ride, but it's just giving you the idea of what happens. It's not word for word everything that did happen. Go ride the attraction if you really want to. And if you haven't ridden it yet, that's an idea for you, but it's not like we just ruined it for you completely.
But again, I would say back row's my choice because that also the smoke effect appears really well. If you're in the front, sometimes you turn and the like hole to get out is already open, so you're like but if you're in the back, all this you can't see over the people in front of you, so it's like okay.
Overall, this to me this is the perfect blend of a thrill ride, and I don't know what else visually. It's brilliant. The 3D looks great. I think it holds up for what it needs. It just adds that extra bit of depth to it without being like in your face style 3D. A little bit there with Nagini, but
it's like
Nagini do what Nagini do.
God, it's like they found the perfect blend between motion and screen.
Yeah.
So it's not the point where you're like. Not like Kong or something where like it's a really fast simulated motion. It's like the actual motion, the things you're watching match the speed of what you're doing.
And you know what? I think it serves the Harry Potter legacy perfectly. Where Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey, I think, is overall the best ride that is at Universal and the best Harry Potter attraction that you have. And it does serve the legacy well. I think that Gringotts is just a sliver or two under it. It's not that far off, but it's also not better than Forbidden Journey. But it holds up. Like neither.
I like the perspective that it's like it's something directly in the film, but we're just a part that you couldn't see.
Yeah.
So it follows in that whole mentality that the Wizarding World is so massive that we haven't seen every aspect of it,
And wrapping back around to Dragon Challenge in it. Dragon Challenge leaves. Personally, yes, I'd be upset because it's an attraction that I worked at for a good amount of time at Universal, and it holds a lot of fond memories for me. But I don't think it's crucial to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter.
No.
everything in Diagon Alley, everything with Gringotts, I think that is so critical. This ride, if they are going to get rid of this attraction, they might as well just get rid of all of Diagon Alley in itself. That's how I feel about it. That's kind of the way I see it. And so if we were voting on whether or not this should be in the Disney Universal Hall of Fame, that is where I come in and say, astounding yes.
Oh, yeah. It's innovative. It's got its signature. It potentially could be timeless. I mean, so I'd say 100%. I'd say based on not even the attraction, but the actual queue that gets you to the cart of the attraction alone, I would probably put this in here.
The whole experience could have just been easily enough a walkthrough of Gringotts and going down into the vaults. You could have left the minecart and then went and experienced all the vaults. You don't need the ride. It could have still been just amazing and wonderful, kind of like if you go to the making of Harry Potter in London and you go through the tour and you see the sets. I could settle for something just as great as that. But instead, we did get a really fantastic attraction out of it. Again, it doesn't matter what we think of it, though, as in all the Universal Hall of Fames. It matters what you guys think about it. So for that reason, of course, we will have on the Diz Unplugged podcast forum on disboards.com a place where you can vote and discuss why you think Harry Potter in the Escape from Gringotts should or should not be in the Disney Universal Hall of Fame. I know it's going to be an astounding yes. This is nearly a shoo-in for an absolutely has to, but you know what? I could be wrong. There has been things in the past where I assumed would get in that didn't wrong, make Greg, it.
I just don't know what's right.
I agree wholeheartedly with that. So
about this, I mean. Specifically.
Oh, okay.
Okay, just so we're clear.
But yeah, so that will be available, so you can head on there. Of course, there will be a link to that in the show notes page, along with any other information that you may need. Of course, DizUnplugged.com is the home of our show notes for this show, as well as all of the stuff on the Diz Unplugged podcast network, all the other shows, that's what they're called. So make sure to head over to there if you need any extra information for that, as well as information on the big Diz 20th anniversary party that we will be having this June. So thank you, Ryno, for this fun conversation today. It was really
always talk about Harry Potter.
Yeah, it was really one heck of a time, one really swell time. Thank you out there to everyone who actually took the time to watch and listen to this.
And guys, stalagmites come out of the earth. Stalactites come out of the ceiling.
There you go. For the 10 geologists that we have out there that do watch our show, we have righted this wrong. We may have butchered the storyline of the attraction, but we got the geology
know what the
right.
spikes mean.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So, guys, again, thank you so much for watching and listening out there. Make sure you go and vote on disboards.com, and we will see you again next week with another episode of the Diz Unplugged Universal Edition. Until then, still no more resolutions.